Hi, and welcome back to Basement Backgammon. On this episode, we are going to be looking at a Dreuke King Size Executive Model 158 from the Dreuke Blue Chip Game Company. Now, the Dreuke Company made all sorts of chess equipment, and the Blue Chip Game Company was a spin-off of the parent Dreuke Company. I want to say in the 70s, 50s, I forget. I have a video of another Dreuke board, a wood board, or at least it's a wood outside board, and it's cork inside. And I have a link to the history of the Dreuke Game Company and when the Dreuke Blue Chip Game Company started. And I will repost that link into this video, into the comments. But this particular board, the King Size Executive, is the largest board, according to the catalog, made by the Dreuke Blue Chip Game Company. And this board is wonderful for a couple of reasons. Number one, it eschews the wood paneling of the other Dreuke models. It goes with the more traditional the faux leather exterior. And it's got some other great features of it as well. This is the largest one they made. It's got a recessed hinge. So the hinge is slightly recessed. Let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can see it right there. Slightly recessed into the underside of the case, which is nice because then this hinge doesn't quite stick out as much. It still sticks out just a little bit. It catches a little bit above the level of the bottom. But not quite so much that it tilts all that much when you put it on its facing up like this. So you can see you can stand it up like this, and it doesn't have quite too much sway to it. So that's a nice little feature, that recessed hinge. Another feature here is molded plastic handle. A nice molded plastic handle with your standard handle hardware. I like the molded plastic over the leather handles. Obviously, the leather looks nicer than the molded plastic, but the molded plastic lasts longer. This board is probably 50 years old, and the molded plastic is still in not remarkably, it's in perfectly good shape, almost like it's brand new. And it's a pleasure to carry. So molded plastic, I wouldn't poo-poo it too much. It's pretty good. If I put it on its side here, you'll see the lock hardware is standard hinges with a key. For the lock, and I actually have the keys for this. It came with this. Now, given that this is the largest one of these that Dreuke made, you would imagine that the checkers are also large, and they are. There are 1 3/4 checkers. They're Catalin checkers. And I'll do another video at some point about the difference between Catalin and Bakelite and why we end up calling all Catalin Bakelite, and I don't know why we don't use Catalin anymore. We don't use the name Catalin. But these are technically Catalin, not Bakelite. I call this board Mr. Tank for a good reason. It's very, very well constructed. The frame seems extremely solid. You can see a little bit of wear on the hinges here, a little bit of rust. So that would indicate to me a steel hinge, very, very solid. There used to be some sort of nameplate or something over here. I can see 2 little holes here. Something was in here at some point, or maybe this is just the where the nails went in for the for this block here that separates the or that holds the dice and the cubes in. This is a cork board, a cork surface. Unfortunately, Dreuke didn't take a lot of care in their cork surfaces. So it's not that it's not nicely printed or anything, but you can see it's very sloppily put in. There's some space here. It's hard to see with the shadow. There's some space over here as well, between the end of the cork and the board. There's no padding underneath it. It's not particularly well glued in. You can see the corner coming up over here. So not the best quality of field, but I mean, the paint certainly held up over 50 years. The cups are interesting as well, because even though they are pretty standard cork-lined cups. They have a metal ridge on the bottom, which is something unique that I haven't seen in other cups. Normally, this is like reinforced cardboard all around, wrapped in some sort of leather with a cork lining. But to give it extra structure, there is metal on the bottom, and it gives a lot of rigidity to the cup, which is one of the reasons why I call this thing Mr. Tank. By the way, here is the original keys for this, and I have no reason to believe this isn't the original envelope that the keys came in. Let me just show this real quick. So these are the keys that came with the case. I've already I'm on record as saying that I think locking your backgammon board is kind of stupid. I don't know anybody who would open a board, take out stuff, and not just take the whole board. One other thing about this case that I don't like is that, and this happens with a lot of boards, not all of them, but a lot of boards that have these 3x5 configurations for the checkers, is that there's no lip here to stop the checkers from falling into the cup area. So when you're bearing off, the checkers end up going all over the place. If there was a lip there, some sort of small wall, it would hold the checkers in place, but there isn't. In fact, there should be a full-size wall, in my opinion, but it's not there, and the cups themselves, when you put them in like this, end up doing the job of holding the checkers in. So these, this cube and these dice are not original to the board. I took those out. They were just pretty standard, nothing special. I did replace it with a very nice 1-inch Bakelite cube in yellow and green to match the colors of the checkers. And I used green and white precision dice also to match the color of the checkers. Could have had yellow, I guess, or some sort of orange for the other die, but I like the white because it matches the pips. Matches the pips here. Now let's take a look at these checkers. These checkers are spectacular. Great example of Catalin from this era. I've heard these green checkers called a lot of different colors. Somebody called it spinach once, and that's pretty evocative of what the color looks like here. But this is a beautiful green swirl, green with yellow swirl. And these are 1 3/4 inch. They're absolutely gorgeous, great, nice and big. Give you that classic Bakelite sound. Catalin, I know, Catalin, not Bakelite. This is just the best example that you can find of what good Catalin looks like and what it sounds like. And the yellow are just your standard big yellow butterscotch, but nice and thick these checkers are. Look at that, nice and thick. Let's put those in here. You can hear what this sounds like. The checkers really make this board a pleasure to play with, and the dimensions make it a pleasure to play with too. It is pretty far, but not too far for a person. This is the largest board they had that they make, so it's really quite nice. And oh yeah, in terms of the size of the bar, it's just where I want it. Perfectly fits one checker. Let's do our test of 6 here. Now the test of 6 shows where Dreuke really cared more about chess than they did backgammon. You can see a lot of slop 6 across. A lot of slop here. Not great. So as great as quality as these checkers are, the as great a quality as checkers are, the 6 across is not great. And also this fits just a little bit more than 11. In fact, almost exactly 11 across. So the size of it is good. 12 across might have been a little bit too far, or even 11.5. So 11 across with these big, thick, chunky checkers. Gorgeous. All right, let's listen to what this sounds like and get an idea. You got a nice hollow sound inside that cup. There is no triplet inside the cup. 6 and a 2. because these bumpers are not naked wood, you get a more muted sound when you hit it. Five and two. Let's see. 5 and 2. Three and 4. All right, you get the idea. So again, this is the Dreuke King Size Executive, the largest model that they made. Beautiful Catalin checkers. I call this one Mr. Tank just because of its solid construction. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will speak to you again soon.